Doing this video requires a lot of decisions, like what shall I do next? Shall I go to my mother or shall I go to her brothers and sisters? Well, I've chosen to do her family before I go to her. This is Arnold, my mother's brother. Arnold was born in 1897 and died November 20th, 1981 at the age of 84. I would guess that this is his confirmation picture. It could be First Communion. Here's Arnold as a young man. I don't know a lot about him. I do know that he was in World War I. He also contracted syphilis, which damaged his brain, and he lived most of his life in the Veterans Administration Hospital in Biloxi, Mississippi. I don't know who the lady is. It could be his wife. There's a newspaper clipping somewhere in my mother's things about his marriage to someone from Alexandria. My wife Eula and I used to visit Arnold at the hospital in Biloxi. I remember that he was so glad to see us, but that he had the mind of a child. This young man here is Herman J. Kroger, one of my mother's three brothers. I don't know when he was born. I do know he died at age 64 and that he was older than my mother, who was born in 1902. Here's Herman as a young man. He attended LSU, but also Ohio State University, where he got his degree in veterinary medicine. He was a veterinarian. Herman married Evelyn Cotner of Wheeling, West Virginia. Like his brother Arnold, Herman was also a soldier in World War I. The few pictures we have which has a date, this is October 6th, 1929, and that's his son Johnny B. I have quite a lot of pictures of Herman's family. I won't show them all to you. This is Johnny B., the baby in the last picture, my first cousin. Another of Herman's children, this is Nancy Catherine Kroger at age 2.5 years. She was born about 1932, somewhere in there. This would be Jimmy Kroger at 2.5 years, another of Herman's sons, my first cousin. This is Sally Kroger, age 6 months. And here's Aunt Evelyn and Uncle Herman by the Christmas tree in 1951. There were 5 children of that marriage, I believe. I've mentioned John, Nancy, there's Sally, Jimmy, and Susie. And here they all are, back in 1951 at Christmas time. This is my mother's brother, John M. Kroger. He was born in 1898 and died in 1976 at the age of 78. He was the father of 2 boys and 2 girls. Here he is in his World War I soldier's uniform. I think we've mentioned already that his daughters were Celeste and Marie Louise, and his sons were Jack and Steve. The boys still live in Baton Rouge. Marie Louise is Marie Louise Gardner, and she lives in Albuquerque. Celeste is now Celeste Cernick, and she lives in Houston. John was married to Leslie Arbor, who died rather recently, I think in 1996, somewhere in there. Another picture of John. I think his middle name was Malcolm. This is John with his family. Next to him is his wife, Leslie. That's his daughter, Celeste. And then on the far left, Jack. Here's one of Celeste as a child. And here's Marie Louise. Among the many newspaper clippings which my grandmother and my mother kept was this one announcing the wedding of John Kroger and Leslie Arbor. Another clipping, which predates the last one, is this one concerning John Kroger's experiences in the army overseas in France. This is Marie Kroger, my mother's younger sister. I don't know when she was born, but it was after 1902. Here's Marie as a young lady. Marie married Leslie Fares, shown here on the far right. Next to Les, I think, is Anne, and in Marie's lap, I believe, is Jane. And I think this picture was taken at their home on Oleander Street. I remember they lived there and also at 1338 St. Rose. A Christmas scene, the year I do not know. Jane Fares would be on the right, and that's Anne on the left of the screen. This on the stoop at the house at 1338 St. Rose. Anne on the right, Jane on the left. In the middle is either Martha or Susie. I don't know which one. Susie died as a young child, and Martha, the last I heard, was living in Washington State. I'm her godfather, but I don't know where she is. An earlier, older picture of Marie with one of her babies. I think this is Jane, but I don't know. This is Marie's first child, Anne, in an earlier picture. I don't know how old these children are. I know that Anne is younger than I, but we're near the same age. Anne was the eldest of the four children of Les and Marie. This is Anne at one of those special church occasions. She's now Anne Baker. Anne as a nice-looking young woman. The picture taken in 1951. Back to the 1930s for this picture of Jane. Look at that old-time stroller or carriage or whatever. Another picture of Jane. This is the Fares home at 1338 St. Rose in Baton Rouge, not long after it was constructed. And here's my mom, Louise Catherine Kroger, born January 19th, 1902. Very few of the photographs have dates. I guess I know more about her than any other person in the world, but I can't really think of much to say while these pictures are being shown. This is one of the few pictures with a date, 1923 at LSU. No date on this one, just the name of the studio, Ewing Incorporated, Baton Rouge. Mama was a phys ed major at LSU. She later obtained her master's degree in physical education, attending for some of her hours the University of Wisconsin. Don't think she was a cheerleader at LSU. She probably earned that sweater in athletics. Here she is in a hiking outfit. I'll tell you more about that in just a minute. She did something unusual in her youth. This is what it was. She and some other co-eds actually hiked from Baton Rouge to New Orleans along the river. Another clipping giving dates but not years. We don't know which year this took place. I would guess in the 1920 or 21, somewhere in there. I like this article from the newspaper. Old Negro Mammy mistakes co-eds for soldiers. We've come across a later newspaper article which gives the date, Christmas 1921, when this occurred. A photograph taken along the way during the hike. Some more early pictures of Diddy or Mama, taken I know not where or when. Looks like they were playing some kind of hockey, judging by the sticks and the net. Jumping back to 1927, here's the announcement of my parents' wedding in the Baton Rouge newspaper. Now to some more recent pictures. I don't especially like this picture. I guess it's the glasses. Another one with the glasses. I guess this is one of her athletic teams, basketball or whatever. Here's one that has a date, April 1944. And this will be the last photograph in the Diddy or Mama series. This is a Polaroid of her retirement, I do believe, from the East Baton Rouge Parish School Board. Well, this young one here is my sister, Courtenay Louise Selleck, who was born on March 27th, 1930, and who died on June 10th, 1944. Her name, as was my father's, is correctly spelled Courtenay. It's a name often misspelled. Here's the announcement on the birth of my sister, Sandra Jean, September 2nd, 1937. Her full name was Sandra Jean Mary Selleck, because the damn priest who baptized her would not accept either Sandra or Jean as a saint's name. Here she is, riding a pony. There's Sandra with Daddy, taken in Laplace. And there's a happy little girl. And this final picture of Sandra, just before she died, as she lay in her bed at the house at 4424 Whitehaven Street. Well, this cute little guy here is my brother, Robert Courtenay Selleck Jr., who was born on November 29th, 1945, and who died on September 25th, 1966, just shy of his 21st birthday. Robert's life was well documented in photographs by my mother. Here's Robert with some sweet young thing at the junior-senior prom at Catholic High School in 1962. Robert was quite an athlete, participating in all the sports at Catholic High except football. He was quite good as an athlete and is remembered today at Catholic High as a grizzly great. He looks really bad in this picture, which appears to have been taken in a hospital room. This may be the last portrait taken of Robert. I would guess that this was done not too long before he died, before he got really sick.